Yo. You know, sometimes it only takes one little action, one simple movement to be remembered in the landscape of the internet. In truth, is actually maybe even too easy. While many might want to be remembered or known for some grand art piece, a project they've worked on for a long time, or maybe even simply just the funny stuff they make on occasion. The thing is, and this is kind of a hard pill to swallow, it's so much easier to be known by simply being cringe.
It's the eye of the spider, it's poison, it won't bite. Oh, look out, I'm an excellent fighter.
To be cringe is to be free, but to be free is to be cringe. Oh, what a conundrum. But see, the reason that phrase even exists at all is that to be cringy is to more than likely be yourself. Maybe you're a little bit weird. Maybe you have strange opinions. Maybe you're a little too obsessed about some video game franchise or something. Whatever the case may be, maybe a better way of putting that phrase is to be yourself is to be free. But you see, many in our day and age of TikTok and vertical videos and ever shorter content for even shorter attention spans are now being on purposely cringe not to be themselves, but rather to play up a character so that they can ideally get some money out of the whole thing. You want to get popular on TikTok? It's really easy. Just be the most cringy, weird, out-of-pocket, strange person you can muster until it's somehow second nature. Make content centered around this character and the fake situations you'll now be putting them in, and pretty easy money from there. Even if it is technically fake cringe content, they will still be featured all over the place and even other websites like YouTube and Instagram because it still will elicit that feeling, and most people will not know the extra context that you are playing a character, which actually works in your benefit in this case. God, what I wouldn't give to suddenly just not have a shred of shame or self-worth. Not that I particularly care, I mean, get that bread, I suppose. But the thing is, I personally find this type of content to be rather boring, because at the end of the day, it's only a frail imitation of the real thing, an ironic mask that clutters the pile when what I'm really looking for is authenticity, the genuine real deal.
So yeah.
Someone who is just putting themselves out there, and well, maybe being a little bit cringe. Because therein lies at least something that can go deeper than the basic first reaction. Someone actually interesting. Authentically interesting. Not just an obvious character. Now, all this preamble is really just to help introduce what is one of the more interesting internet figures, who often doesn't get talked about in detail. A person well known for finding Sonic females pretty hot. A man who once stood up for the decency of the internet, you might say. A person who has been creating videos for over 17 years, and yet is mostly remembered for about one or two of them. A person who, while often referenced and laughed about, has never really been given the chance to have their full story on the internet told. This, my friends, is the fable of Dylan Guptill.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious.
So I've got a message out there for every fucking troll with a headset and a copy of Modern Warfare.
Excuse me, I have some memories I need to repress.
I hate the N-word, and by N-word, I mean nerd, not...
Hello, gamer fans. Spax here.
Everyone, I'm so glad you're still watching ADGN after 15 years.
Dylan Guptill, born April 26, 1989, is a man who at one point proudly stood against the status quo. Well, eventually when he made a YouTube channel on July 25th of 2006. His name back then was Guptill89, and looking back at some of his oldest videos on his channel, it seems pretty standard fare for the time, with the first video he ever posted being GoldenEye Hilarious Moments, where he showcases some funny moments in GoldenEye, I suppose. Pretty standard fare for YouTube at the time, but it was his next two videos that would come to be one of his more popular points of interest, shall we say. A set of two videos that you can see via the Wayback Machine were some of his first videos he ever published, but that will not be found on his current channel anymore, instead being uploaded to an archive channel, thankfully. These two videos were titled Celebration 15 Nux the Echidna, Part 1 and 2, which I think is best if I show you some of.
In October of 2006, Knuckles the Echidna, protector of the Master Emerald and a resident of Angel Island, announced that he'd come to the United States to join the festivity of Sonic the Hedgehog celebration through a dance on Halloween night. Marching through the streets, carrying a wooden stage, and his cameramen carrying a spotlight, the two set the scene for a big performance.
Okay.
As you can see, Dylan here is grooving it out with some hot, sick Sonic Adventure beats, specifically a remix of Knuckles' theme song from the game, while he of course is dressed like the famous Red Echidna. You know, it's in this moment that I am reminded of a childhood friend I had who once came over to my house and we ended up playing Sonic Adventure together, and he instantly wanted to play as Knuckles. And he said something to the effect of, "Man, I love Knuckles. I love everything about Knuckles. I love how Knuckles looks, his color, how he sounds, his personality. I just want to be Knuckles." Those words stuck with me, and I can't help but be reminded of them as I watch this video. That childhood friend of mine later went on to hold a 7-Eleven hostage, wherein he killed at least 2 people and brutally maimed 3 others. Nah, I'm just kidding, he's probably a furry or some shit nowadays. Anyway, later in the video, some people actually passed by him and seemed to compliment him on his dance moves, which is honestly pretty based. I feel like if I was walking down the street and happened to pass some dude wildin' out, dressed as Knuckles the Echidna, I don't really know what I would do, but I would certainly admire the cracked out confidence it took to do it, if nothing else. But this was but only part 1. What of part 2? Well,
I never forget myself saying that.
Can you open the stone door for us?
Sure thing.
Look at all of those X-Men robots.
Too cool. Well, that's another one of my favorite quotes.
Stone pillars on both sides of the path are beginning to crumble. We better get moving.
Oh yeah.
Use the current for that fan to go up. Ready to try the triangle dive?
I always thought he was so cute. Man, I love my power. What the? Man, I love his speed. He's always great. Man, I tell you, sometimes it's hard to keep up with Sonic.
I love this video. The manic energy that emanates from this man, from this slightly creepy Knuckles costume, as Dylan pretends to be him while playing Sonic Heroes, remarking all the random quotes and quips from Knuckles in the game. I'm not sure if Dylan really understood what he was doing here with this, but he made what I imagine someone at their absolute breaking point, fully taken over by the void of insanity of their mind looks like. You can't help but stare. Like, I like to imagine this guy being my roommate or something, and waking up late into the night, hearing Sonic Heroes loudly blaring in the background, walking into the living room, and finding him doing this, with no reaction to me walking in on him. He's literally just fucking Knuckles now. There's also this strange bit in the middle of the video where he takes a quick word from his sponsors to advertise a plug-and-play console.
Oh, man. Never thought I'd see my fella fall off like that. You know, the thing is, I seem to be a lot better at old school games than this. In fact, I'm gonna switch to them right now.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a quick word from our sponsors. The wonders of 80s games put onto a single joystick.
That's right, everyone. This is a joystick that has some of your favorite video games on it, created by Namco. And now, you can own one just like your friend Knuckles.
Mamma mia!
This can be found at your local game store or Walmart. Or you can check out one at ebay.com.
Namco rules!
Better hurry before the stock runs out. The Ms. Pac-Man joystick. Relive the old days once again.
We now return to our featured program.
Man, what was up with these, how do I put it, interesting old internet people and putting fake advertisements in their stuff? Well, anyway, he then uploaded some other random stuff like more gameplay, or him playing London Bridge on the piano. Before transitioning into something I'm a fair bit more familiar with talking about in this Internet Fables series, video game reviews, starting with his review of the game Myst.
Let me tell you something. Myst is one of the most challenging games known to man. And why? Well, basically, its genre is puzzle solving. And in my mind, this game was probably pointed towards the people who completed science college and have any level of degree. Bachelor's, master's, PhD, whatever. You'll soon figure out why in a minute.
As YouTube commenter Goattongue noted, video length equals 7 minutes and 35 seconds. Total of times he slapped his knees, 19. That funny observation aside, Dylan does go on to review the game and praise several aspects of it, and detail its core ideas, before then noting,
"And this is where your notebook comes into play. This is what you need to complete the game as well as your brain. That's why I said this game is probably best suited for the people who have completed science college. The scientific-minded people, to be exact."
He goes on to describe how difficult the puzzles of the game are, all while this low quality but kind of aesthetic footage of his camera pointed at his old computer CRT monitor showcases what he's talking about.
After the message, the real adventure starts. Cluelessness can jump into your mind every so often during this time because the game hardly gives you any clues at all of what to do next. When you finally get the opportunity to travel to another age, you have to touch another picture. The main goal in each age is to find a red or blue page and exit the world. And of course you must solve different puzzles along the way. During this time you must have a lot of patience because some of the puzzles are just ridiculous to try to solve. Take the stone ship age for instance. When you reach the compass board, you have to press the right button to turn on the underwater lights. Only one button can be pressed. Just one. If you guess wrong, the lights go out and you have to go back and turn them back on again. Just look at all those buttons. You'll find yourself doing this thing over and over and over again until you finally find the right one. God, if this still isn't the right one, then I'm just giving up. Yes! Finally! Oh, man! Yeah, I definitely deserve a break after all this trouble I went to. Save my game. Yes, please.
You'll probably notice that this video is very clearly inspired by the Angry Video Game Nerd, but with a noticeable difference. There was actually no cursing or extreme reactions throughout the video. He also gets to the point pretty quickly, and I gotta say, besides the fact it's obviously a very short video and has some pretty...
So, to sum this entire thing up, the graphics deserve a 12 out of 10 for its time, of course, because everything was so photorealistic at the time. And for the gameplay, walking around looking at things may seem pretty fun to some people. And, you know, the plot is also kind of fun to think about. You know, traveling to other worlds, talking to guys through books, and the list goes on and on. But you don't have to take my word for it, because if you get this game, just be sure in the future that you will not get mystified.
Interesting mannerisms. This is actually a pretty good review for the standard at the time. And following this review, he would go on to do a similar video, this time a Doom Nightmare Mode review.
What can you say? Doom is one of the very first first-person shooter series ever created, and it's also one of the best. The gameplay is great, and if it became sluggish, you had the option to lower graphic details and other things like screen size to make it play more smoothly. There were 5 levels of difficulty to choose from, and you could do harder ones if you got better at it. When you finish the game on ultra-violence mode, you're pretty much finished with the entire game. Why? Well, the 5th difficulty, Nightmare, is not worth it at all. When you select it, you get a message that asks, "Are you sure? This skill level isn't even remotely fair." If you select yes and start playing, you'll soon find out why. Watch this. I died before reaching the exit of level 1 in Doom 2, and that's pretty much all that's going to happen to you. Dying!
This is an interesting concept for a review at the time, specifically reviewing the hardest difficulty in a game. Honestly seems like something you would have seen more often back in the day, with how easy it would be to create angry ranting type content out of such a scenario. Interestingly, he does go on to give tips on how to actually beat this difficulty mode as well.
1. Never go after every enemy, just run. Only kill the ones that get in your way, and only the ones that are fast and don't shoot projectiles. 2. Be skilled in speed strafing. That means running while turned at an angle. To do so, start running at about 45 degrees, then strafe while you do it. This supposedly gives you an extra speed boost, enabling you to outrun enemies faster and round corners more quickly. If this isn't easy for you, you're better off having on the turbo option. Thank goodness that option's there. Number 3. Only use really useful weapons. This includes the chainsaw, the combat shotgun, the chain gun, the rocket launcher, the plasma rifle, and especially the BFG 9000. These weapons can kill creatures really fast and you will need them. Everything else in your arsenal is just crap. Even if you come upon a berserk pack, don't even use your fist because it's way too slow against monsters, and before you even get a chance to kill one, you're done for. The rocket launcher and the BFG are the most useful because they kill the fastest, and in some cases, small enemies take longer to respawn if they explode.
This is clearly Dylan showcasing his pro gamer skills, which leads into him talking about using mouse control and notes the following.
And finally, tip number 9, which is probably the most important. Use the mouse for quick turning / firing and set the controls to quick to access ones. This means setting the keys to ones that are a really tiny distance away from each other. My recommendation is setting movement to the arrow keys with always strafe on, then setting fast to control, and finally setting action to 0 on the numeric keypad. That way it looks like this. Or this if you're left-handed. Also, about the mouse. Make sure the mouse pad is clean before using, and if you're using a trackball mouse, check the inside to see if it's clean as well, and is fully functional.
You know, I would say, yeah, no shit Sherlock, but then again, with how many gamers got their gamer gunk all over their setup these days, maybe Dylan's advice has aged pretty well. He then ends the video with this big rant, again a la AVGN, but once again without any curse words.
There. I've given you all the useful tips I can think of. Nightmare mode is basically unbeatable unless you follow these tips. But even if you do, it's still so freaking tedious to complete a level. Even if you've got the most useful weapons in your inventory, the monsters get to do whatever the heck they want. They hardly ever miss you. So many of them are around every corner. 90% of the time you aren't fast enough to kill them, and even if you make the tiniest mistakes, you are dead. Screw this difficulty! I don't even know why I forced myself to play it! If the guys at ID Software thought of putting in the toughest gameplay imaginable, then what's the point of putting it in a first-person shooter title like this one? It's like, what were they thinking?
Again, not bad for its time. Now, I keep noting the lack of curse words for a reason, because it was a purposeful creative choice, and something he actively despised in other content creators of his time. A fact he would go on to make a full-on rant about via his video entitled Rant-a-Wreck Episode 1, Certain Game Reviewers.
We all have things that tick us off in life. For example, bullies, drugs, and hard-to-control children. I can ignore all of these things. However, there's one thing that's been bothering me that I can't ignore. I'm talking about these users my age end up showing their complete lack of thoughtfulness when reviewing a video game. It's like someone pursuing a PhD but only reads comic books. There are 3 things that I can't stand. First of all, a few of them don't use a script. I wonder if they have written down any notes at all. Secondly, many of them don't edit the footage in the videos. It's basically footage that occurs as if you turned on the video game console and started to play from start to finish. And the third one is the worst of the worst. I'm sure some folks will object to this complaint. The worst part about these guys is repeated profanity and vulgar actions. Thought so.
Now, what I find interesting is while these are all traits I personally find quite charming about old internet game reviews, he's not wrong about the lack of scripting and video editing, or lack thereof, in many of them. Sometimes that actually added to the experience, while other times it made a lot of these old game reviews, looking back, a kind of nothing experience and pretty boring. As for the vulgar comments and what have you, it's kind of a two-edged sword. On one hand, I do think that the anger and over-the-top reactions at the time were definitely part of the appeal, and cursing can definitely add to that effect, especially if it's already part of their vocabulary. However, it was and could often be used as a crutch for what is otherwise a really unfunny person trying to chase a trend. He then goes on to say,
"But let me explain. When you don't script yourself, you sound boring with a lot of uhs, ums, and many pauses. To be more specific, how would you like it if a radio or TV announcer started telling a story and had no idea how he or she would tell it? With all the stammering and time wasting, wouldn't it make you want to change the channel? We usually only get to see the first few levels of the game you're reviewing. That doesn't always show us the troubled points you're describing. Sometimes people watching would want to see the later levels. I certainly would. I don't want to see someone continuously failing to pass a stage or level and having to start over."
Honestly, fair points with there as far as the critiquing goes. He then goes on to rant about the curse words part in particular though.
The third problem, profanity and disgraceful actions, is the #1 reason why most game reviewers are hard to enjoy. This problem raises a big question. Do you absolutely think it is necessary to spew out dirty language and have it bounce off a viewer's eardrums? I mean, think about it for a minute or two. Do you want to know why dirty language is a huge deal? It's mostly because of 2 important points. The first point is, the inappropriate words being launched out of your oral cavity like bullets just make you sound quite unintelligent and not even funny in the slightest. Too many reviewers' favorite words are the F words, the A words, and the S word. Those words have basically replaced every possible adjective, noun, and interjection imaginable. I feel as if people are devoted to these words as if they were awesome presidents or prime ministers. Honestly, guys, can't you think of something better to say, or a better way to say it? Swear words are just a crunch! Besides, you should really take this into consideration. It's also the second point I want to make. There are children who use the internet. That's right, I said children. What if a kid stumbled upon your review and started reciting out loud, "This game is a piece of shit. I can't stand this crap anymore. I'm done. Have a nice day." They'll be sent to their room with soap in their kissers, along with a glass of water and a bucket. Don't you realize that when a child hears other people cuss, he or she will think that it's cool? Don't you want to set a better example than that?
Now again, the whole idea of the curse words being a crutch is fair. Again, I do think curse words in these types of videos can add that right amount of sincerity that sells you on the emotions they are trying to convey. But on the other hand, it more often than not is better to use it more sparingly, since after a while it can sort of feel like someone going through the motions. Hell, even later AVGN episodes can often feel like that. A man just kind of saying swear words and coming up with combinations of them with no real emotion behind any of it. Ask for the kid's part of the argument, which he goes to weirdly play a strawman character for at this point.
Hey kids, guess what? It's alright for you to mimic me because I have amazing talent. So forget about Fred and Smosh. Watch my videos. You'll be cooler than they are. Oh, man. I sure don't want to say that again. Whew.
Not sure what the Smosh and Fred part of the comment was for, but that aside, yeah, kids probably shouldn't be watching this type of content. But that really is up to the parents to make sure they know what their kids are watching and doing, more so than the adults making content just expressing themselves how they want. Though, bit of a hot take here, I personally don't think kids should be allowed to use the internet, at least not without parent supervision, until they are far older, period. You wouldn't throw your kid into a bar or a city all alone by themselves without direction, would you? But that's neither here nor there, I suppose. At any rate, he then goes on to specifically call out 3 reviewers he believes all share these negative traits.
To put it simply, using profanity and vulgarity during a review of a video game is unnecessary. It's also just plain boring. This suggestion is directed towards 3 reviewers that people seem to pay the most attention to: Chris Bors, the irate gamer, James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, and Douglas Darian Walker, that guy with the glasses. I have an idea. Why don't you revise some of your reviews when you get the chance? Sure, it's a truckload of work, but if you do that, you might just end up with more fans.
Now this was not the take to have, especially since all 3 of those examples actually do script their videos. And while Irate Gamer may not be, funny, even he does make the effort to do more than just the bare minimum of the time. Not to mention the whole might have been more fans argument is silly relative to just how popular they were even then. Nonetheless, this was the take he had, and it, as you might imagine, it didn't go over too well. Like I said, he had a few good points in there, but I think the focus on the curse words part kind of made him seem rather pretentious by video's end, and coming across as though he was already of a higher caliber of game reviewer, just because he didn't say fuck or shit or whatever. But you know, since this is a video all about Dylan Guptill, I think it's only fair that I try to abide by his rules. So from this point on in the video, there will be the no more curse words from me. I'll call it the Guptill challenge. Nonetheless though, this wouldn't be the only video of this sort he would make, with another short one being about shopping carts not being put back where they belong.
If you've ever been to a superstore like the Home Depot, Walmart, or the average supermarket, chances are you've come upon the sight of shopping carts scattered all over the parking lot. No offense, but are people truly that lazy? Leaving a shopping cart in a parking space instead of the corral just blows my mind. Why would you want to do that? It's disrespectful to the market. It isn't the employees or other shoppers' job to put the cart where it belongs, it's yours. There's no reason under the sun for other people to be doing your own dirty work. It doesn't matter how big or how small you are, you still need to be courteous. Please do yourselves an enormous favor and act like a responsible adult. You're not a kid anymore.
Or, people misspelling stuff on the internet.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Please step back now.
I know I'm not the only person who thinks about this. We've gone through a whole bunch of spelling and English classes through the years, starting at first grade all the way up to your senior year in high school. But do we really need to see a lot of misspellings and punctuation errors on the internet, especially when you consider most of the people doing the writing have had a decent education? Of course not. That's why I feel like going against it today. I started checking out the internet sometime in 2001. Within a year later, I had come to notice some of the weird ways of typing in what you're trying to say. Lowercase i's to mean yourself, the letters PLZ to shorten the word please, and so on. Most of what I see are no periods, commas, or apostrophes included, not to mention that most people don't spell check their comments, messages, and email letters before posting or sending them. These things have climbed to the point where I cannot take it anymore. People, start using capital letters at the start of sentences, commas to... well, you get the idea. But honestly, why does neatness in writing have to be obsolete? If this junk continues up to the year 2010, I'll still be annoyed as I am right now. Not to mention that it's currently the year 2009, and mankind still doesn't understand that spelling like this is frustrating and confusing. Now, I know that when I post a video with commentary on the internet, I'm not only speaking to my fellow Americans, but the entire world. However, this video is pointed towards English speakers. If you know how to write and speak fluent English, do so, for crying out loud! Writing in a very sloppy way does not help a thing.
Kind of like a more uptight and persnickety version of you know what's, BS, I guess, from the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now sadly, as far as I'm aware, the entire video to this clip is lost to the sands of time, as is, as you'll come to find, many of Dylan Guptill's old videos. However, the clip we do have is probably one of the most infamous and well-known things that Dylan Guptill has ever made a rant about. That being on Ray William Johnson's Doing Your Mom song, which I think is best if you just see the clip for yourself.
Apparently, Mr. Johnson is part of a hip-hop group called Fatty Spins. Recently, he made a song called, get this, Doing Your Mom. Doing your mom? That's just insulting! I dared myself to watch the music video of that song, and this is what happened.
I'm doing your mom, yes yours. First floor in the Walmart, picking out your drawers. Big Dolly Parton hair like an 80s prom queen. But her ass was looking good all up in them mom jeans. I approached her in the checkout line and said, oh baby, what's up? She had 2 gallons of milk and I was staring at her jugs. 5 minutes later, she agreed to get with me, so we went and rocked the minivan like giggity, giggity, giggity. I was ready.
After that, I had to calm myself down gradually. I'll tell you, it wasn't a good experience. But hold on, it gets even better. He made a t-shirt of the same title. I can't even begin to imagine why that article of clothing exists. Who's gonna want to wear that junk? You wear it, you get nothing but mad responses you'll regret. Take that shirt off!
Were you raised in a barn full of idiots?
We do not allow that repulsiveness in school! I'm writing a note to your parents and sending you to the office. Get out! And eventually, this will happen. Sir, can I talk to you for a minute?
I love how, first of all, he was drinking a glass of milk while watching this video. How he needed to calm himself down, because the video offended him to such a degree that he had to go play some video games. And this scenario he's made up in his head, specifically the getting arrested part over a t-shirt. For all these reasons and the overall reaction, this video has lived on as a bit of a meme these days, with the "doing your mom" part really going places. Gotta admit, if nothing else, Guptill really is good at expressing such a genuine anger, but of a certain type so rarely seen. He's like an old grandma being shocked at the youth listening to rap and curse words and vulgar content, except he's like in his 20s here, so yeah. Now, all this ranting about people being indecent and not acting very intelligently on the internet was enough to get Dylan a bit of a reputation online, with some people agreeing with him to a degree, but most actively disagreeing with him and mocking him for acting like such an uptight schmuck. See, while now I'm not so sure what the reaction to a Dylan Guptill would be, at the time, the internet was truly much more wild. People were saying whatever the hell they wanted, and were free to do as they wanted to without people getting them in trouble for doing so nearly as often. And so, Dylan kind of seemed like he was trying to police what people could and couldn't say, how they could and couldn't write, how they should and shouldn't make videos. Critiquing is one thing, but he talked about it with such an air of authority that it kind of made him seem like he was being a little dictator about the whole thing. I guess the crux of it all was that he wanted people to act more mature, but failed to realize that most of the people on the internet that he was specifically complaining about were either grown adults just choosing to speak the way they want to speak, or a bunch of immature, edgy teenagers also choosing the way they wish to speak. And that he should probably be the more mature one and just ignore it. Whether you agree or disagree or don't care one way or the other, it's clear that Guptill had a firm stance on this, however, and was proudly willing to stand against the tide in doing so. And in that sense, you gotta, if nothing else, respect the balls it took to so actively go against the culture of the time. Yet again, with certain films and pieces of art that have come out since his time, I tend to wonder if Dylan Guptill's words would hold more weight these days.
Everybody just yells and screams at each other. Nobody's civil anymore.
However, Guptill during this time frame would end up making a video that I'm sure he now greatly regrets, because all of this stuff I showed you, outside of the occasional person referencing the "doing your mom" clip, is not really what he's most well known for. Like, at all. I wanted to point these out because I found them interesting in looking into him. But truth be told, like so many interesting individuals of his time, the thing that caused his downfall and forever internet fame was, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog related. But before we move on into that specifically, there's actually one slightly more obscure Sonic related thing that he made before the most infamous one. That being this short animated video he made called Hedgehog vs. Hedgehog, The Ultimate Race High Resolution, which is about Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog having a big race for, I don't know, they just want to race each other, I guess. But before this happens, an interesting interaction between Sonic and Amy can be seen.
Gotcha this time, Sonic!
Amy, what's the deal? Why can't you just go bother someone else?
Are you doing anything special today?
Well, I'm gonna be racing Shadow at 10:30 a.m. at Green Hill.
Are you gonna marry me after that? I bet you are.
For the last time, no! I've been through this many times before, and I don't want to have to go through it again.
Come on, you know you want me, True Blue.
Hey, what are you... Hang on, I need to do something important.
I think he likes me.
You know, for someone so uptight, it makes Sonic's comment about needing to go do something important all the funnier, because many of you filthy-minded gooners might have a thought about what he meant by that, but this is not actually the case, as we then see when Sonic gets to Knuckles' house.
How We Die, Harry Potter, To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh, hi Sonic.
Knuckles, it's important that you hear this. Something romantic just happened to me.
Are you okay? It looks like you were kissed.
I was. By Amy.
Whoa.
Hey, look. I'm gonna be racing Shadow in half an hour at Green Hill, but I really need to take a nap in your house somewhere.
Gosh, I don't know about that. I just cleaned this place up myself. Alright, you could take a nap on my couch.
Thanks, man. I owe you one.
Little help? Anyone?
Now you might be wondering, why does Knuckles have a house? But you might also be wondering, why does Sonic, looking like he just smoked some mad pot or something, immediately read to him as having gotten kissed? And why does getting kissed make Sonic sleepy? This isn't like a thing in Sonic or in reality, so why? My only conclusion is that either this is the strange reality that Dylan Guptill believes happens when you get kissed, that you get all dopey and dumb and need to pass out from being overwhelmed or something, which I'm really sorry to say this, but is one of the most got-no version of reality I could possibly think of. Almost rather endearing in its innocence. Or maybe this is Guptill projecting how he personally deals with such an interaction, since it's way too specific of a thing to not be based on something. Either way though, we then get this, yet again kind of stilted and strange interaction between Sonic and Shadow.
Hey there, Shadow. Oh, it's you, Sonic. Hey, I have a curious question to ask, honestly. Do you think I might be able to outrun a Harrier jet? Well, maybe if you tried hard enough. But what about you? You think I could outrun you? I doubt it. Oh yeah? Well, just see about that. Bring it, Blue Hedgehog.
And then the two race.
Not gonna get me. What the? Might as well. Mustn't give up. Gotta beat this guy. How on earth did you catch up? Some people call me the fastest thing alive. Go on, keep telling yourself that. But impossible. How could I lose? What's the time, Tails?
You finished in 3 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah, I am the fastest thing alive. Uh-huh. For now.
Ending this short out, there is something about this one that I really adore, and I really wish he had made more stuff like this. I wish there was an alternate reality where we got like 26 videos from him just like this, all with strange little interactions, and maybe some of the ethics and beliefs about culture that he has, about the internet going in there. Would have been premium Kino content. But anyway, he did at least make one other thing kind of similar to this, several years later, called Tiny Toons Plucky Duck in Plucky's Liquid Trouble, which I'm just gonna quickly show you.
Where am I ever gonna find a water gun for today's water fight? Ooh, sorry, Plucky. My aim is a little off today. Hampton, don't tell me you entered the water fight contest! Water fight contest? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play dumb with me. You just squirted me with that hose. No, really, it's the truth. I was just given a job to clean the streets. Can you help me find a water gun instead? I'm busy at the moment. Can it wait till later? but I need one now. The contest will be starting shortly. I can't risk getting fired. Don't be a forehead, Hampton. Fine. Thanks a lot, Hampton. I owe you big time for this. You're welcome. Now I have to get back to work. Bye-bye. Is he desperate to keep the streets clean or what? Acme Acre Splashapalooza, here I come! Ah, I'm finally here at... Oh, why is life so unfair to me?
You get it? Cause he wanted to go to the water park to use his water gun in the water gun contest, but it was canceled till the next day. You get it? It's actually really funny when you think about it. It's because he expected it was today and rushed to get his water gun, but hee-haw, it was actually tomorrow, meaning he could have like taken his time, and now he's he's slightly inconvenienced. Talk about a laugh riot of a punchline, am I right? That's so funny. In fact, I think we gotta cut the commercial break. So now I suppose I ought to get to the video that, without question, has been the most famous or infamous that Dylan Guptill ever created. That being an upload on Valentine's Day in 2010, a video by the name of Top 10 Hottest Female Sonic Characters.
Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the greatest and most attractive characters ever thought up. He can run at sound speed, take out enemies in a flash, and best of all, he's blue-colored and knows how to handle the females. Speaking of females, the Sonic universe might also be classified as hot chick heaven because there's such a mess of very beautiful and tough women that it'll make you love the franchise even more. And since Valentine's Day is around the corner, I've been inspired to make a top 10 list of the most beautiful female Sonic characters. Grab yourself a snack and a glass of orange juice and try not to reach through the screen because here we go!
You know, sometimes guys, there comes a video that within the first 40 seconds, you just know it's gonna be one of the greatest pieces of art you've ever seen. From the fact that he called Sonic one of the most attractive characters of all time, called the Sonic franchise Hot Chick Heaven, with a graphic he made for it no less, really showcasing just how much he feels this to be the truth, to his randomly telling everybody to get a glass of orange juice and to try not and reach through the screen. I don't have any words. What commentary could possibly be added to this? I guess I will say that there is an interesting contrast here with what is clearly his more uptight, I guess more conservative nature, contrasting with the very concept of the video, ranking a bunch of chicks, anthro characters no less, based on how hot, or i.e. how much he would personally love to have sex with them. This is why I felt it important to showcase his older stuff first, to better really illustrate what a weird video this one is from the get-go, to be coming from this guy of all people, especially since these days you would never see a video like this made outside of one of those channels by a gooner who probably offends lollyporn, or is one of those more openly degenerate activity furries. But anyway, moving into the actual ranking, let's see his top 10 and why he picked the ones that he did.
Number 10. Try this question on for size. Who chases and hugs Sonic all the time and wields a powerful hammer? Why, it's Amy Rose, of course! Though more of a cutie than a hottie, you can't deny the fact that she's still attractive. Two things that make her attractive are the fact that she wears a dress, and when have you ever seen 3 big, very smooth arcs of hair sticking out of a person's forehead? I haven't. So, once again, Amy Rose is lovely. That is, until she goes berserk and starts hitting stuff with her hammer.
You know, he's got a point. I have never seen a girl, or really anyone for that matter, have 3 smooth locks of hair coming out of their forehead. Very fair point.
Who's at number 9? It's this alien plant girl from a distant planet, Cosmo from Sonic X. She arrived on the character's planet to deliver a message saying that the galaxy was under attack by a force called the Metarex. She doesn't do much except tell people to stop fighting and focus on the real matter at hand. The real reason she lands at the number 9 spot is that she becomes Miles Tails Prower's sweetheart, something Tails needed for a long while.
Did Tails need that for a long while? Okay.
Numero 8. Cream the Rabbit's mother, Vanilla. She's attractive and is the size of an average human mother. What really surprises me about her is that the leader of Team Chaotix, Vector the Crocodile, falls in love with her. Kinda silly, don't you think? She's another character that doesn't do much, but in a Season 3 episode of Sonic X, she helps Chris Thorndike get into space to fight the Metarex along with Sonic and friends.
The size of an average human mother. Yeah, I guess that's true. Again, what I love is it's clear there is a level of innocence to this video. But at the same time, him noting that she is the size of an average human mother is either just an innocent comment he made that sounds weirder than it is because that's just the way he talks, or it says something about his preference in women.
What number's next? 7, of course. Wave the Swallow from Sonic Riders. People always root for the good guys, but sometimes the bad guys steal the show. Her mechanical IQ is equal to Tails. She also happens to be the smartest member of the Babylon Rogues. I wonder why she isn't the leader. Like Jet the Hawk and Storm the Albatross, her specialty is riding the airboards called Extreme Gear. With 2 very long and smooth feathers extending from her head to her calves and droopy eyes, Wave will rock your socks. If only we could see her take wing.
No comment.
Numero 6. Tikal the Echidna from Sonic Adventure 1. Named after an ancient Mayan city of the same name, Tikal is the daughter of Chief Pakakamak. She's yet another character that hardly does a thing except beg her father to stop being so greedy. She also traps herself inside the Master Emerald so that the water god Chaos doesn't rain terror upon the land. When you're the daughter of a person in the highest power, you need to look your best, and Tikal delivers perfectly. That's why she's number 6.
I love how he says she's a character that doesn't do anything, then proceeds to talk about her doing things that directly impact the whole story of the game that she's in.
Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5! Mina Mongoose from the Sonic Archie comics. How could you go wrong with a girl who looks like this? She could run nearly as fast as Sonic, and she went from being a freedom fighter to being a pop star singer. Next to Princess Sally, she looks more humanoid than the other characters. Who could top someone who has long mauve hair?
Huh, yeah, how could you go wrong with a girl who looks like that? Huh, guys? I mean, just look at her. Don't you just want to wrap your hands around her thin little neck and rip?
This female standing at number 4, Blaze the Cat. One word, pyrokinesis. How would you like to have that superpower? I mean, Blaze could play around in the Himalayas for hours and she would be perfectly fine. Also, her 45-degree ponytail makes her look like a Native American. I really love the fact that her love interest is the telekinetic hedgehog Silver. The combination of mind-moving and fire superpowers make these two a reliable couple. But what really lands Blaze in the number 4 spot is that her attitude is apparently more different from the other females.
This one really is the whole package. The comment about playing in the Himalayas for hours, her being with Silver and them both having powers making them a, reliable couple for some reason. He clearly missed the obvious joke of saying that they are a power couple, but whatever. And of course the fact that she is more different than other Sonic females. What did he mean by this? We will sadly never know.
Next up is number 3. What's better than having a female with cascading quills? How about a female with cascading quills and hair? Julie Sue, the Echidna, another Archie comic exclusive, has that feature. She's smart, knows exactly what to do as a freedom fighter, and even trained Amy once. She's also the girl of Knuckles' dreams. Lucky him. Her older self in the series, Mobius, X years later, is just downright hot. Just look at that long ponytail. Now we're talking!
Now we're talking, guys! Don't you just want to be
see Knuckles and have Julie Sue on your shoulder every night before you drink your warm Betty Bye milk?
Also, I have noticed a bit of an interesting pattern at this point, that Dylan Guptill seems to be really fascinated by the Sonic character's hair. I have nothing to add to that point, just an observation I've made all the same.
Number 1, 2, button my shoe! Princess Sally Acorn. There's a lot to say about this character. She's the heir to the throne, Sonic's first official romance, the only character that used to not wear clothes, brave and athletic, the most humanoid character, and is like a mother to Tails. In the TV show Sonic Sat AM, one freedom fighter, the cowardly Antoine, constantly tries to woo Sally but doesn't succeed because he's a coward. The princess is also a semi-perfect example of an excellent love interest, although there were a couple of times when she really snapped and acted like a lunatic. In the comics, that is. But overall, Sally Acorn really stands out amongst the slew of females, not just because she's Sonic's first official love interest, or because she's the only one who didn't wear clothes, but because in the comics, she grew very long hair and married Sonic in the future, becoming the Queen.
Again, what is up with the hair comments? But with all that said, what's gonna be his number 1?
So, you've seen a pyrokinetic cat, a swallow, 2 gorgeous echidnas, and even a princess. Who could possibly top those kinds of females? Well, get ready folks, this is the number 1 hottest Sonic the Hedgehog female character. Rouge the Bat. If anybody denies it, how dare you? This woman can fly, she's as strong as Knuckles, and is a femme fatale seducing other characters into getting what she wants. Instead of having one love interest, she has 2, Knuckles and Shadow the Hedgehog. Being a treasure thief, she's only interested in one object set, jewels, especially the Chaos Emeralds. There actually have been situations where Rouge's cleavage has been exposed, but it eventually got censored. What a price to pay. I think the best part about this beauty is that she wears 3 different outfits unlike the other female characters. And who wouldn't want to fly across the landscape, be as strong as Sean Johnson, and flirt with any male anytime, anywhere? These 3 traits make Rouge the Bat triumph over all of the Sonic the Hedgehog females. My hat goes off to you, Sonic Team USA. You ought to be proud.
Alright! Yeah, she's got big bazonkazonks, and she steals stuff, and is with, like, 2 men, maybe more, and she's got wings. Oh god, the wings. What I wouldn't do to batter and fry those up.
There you have it, folks. Those were the hottest female chicks in the Sonic universe. I hope you enjoyed it, happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you later.
So obviously, I think you have gotten a pretty good idea as to why this video was so discussed. In fact, it was so very discussed and mocked and ridiculed and parodied that Dylan eventually took the video down. And it's one of the ones that you can only find on archives of his stuff. However, what if I told you that there exists an official remake of this video that is often overlooked? See, Dylan got a lot of feedback on this video, and some pretty mean comments to say the least about his opinions, as well as many pointing out some hypocrisy with him being against vulgar stuff in videos and then pretty much doing the same thing just in his own weird little way, which clearly got to him, as you can see in the intro for this remake of this classic video.
What you're about to see is a highly revised version of the 2010 Valentine's Day special showcasing the top 10 prettiest female characters in the universe of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, the original version mostly focused on their appearances and not their personalities and skills. I also didn't do enough research, so there were a couple of mess-ups. Now, I want to get one very important thing straight. There's nothing even remotely sexual or, quote, pedophilic about this list, and there never was. Lists like these are totally meant to be silly and fun. The problem with some of you is that you felt it wise to take it to the extreme by calling me a furry. Please. And even though you were offering me constructive criticism, you were still being way off base and spreading a lie. Bottom line, think hard before you talk, and grow up. Well, Now that I got that off my chest, enjoy.
Dylan Guptill kind of fell for the oldest trick in the book. He responded to the criticism in a clearly upset state. Mind you, I do get the feeling that based on his personality that he isn't secretly some weird pervert or even a furry. No, that's far too easy. I legitimately believe Dylan Guptill is of a different breed entirely. He's a man who I do think has far more innocent intentions in mind that are very easy to twist into him being a weird pervert because there are so rarely people like him. The kind that cares about common decency. The kind that thinks of the children first. The kind that gets very uptight about what people do, say, eat. A classic goody two-shoes type of character. Some may even say a bit of a narc type character. The kind that when he makes a video like this, it was for fun and not because he actually wants to pork all these furry characters. Of course, feel free to disagree with me, but I do believe that him going out of his way to remake the video and say all this says that the perception of him being a weirdo clearly got under his skin. Maybe you could read into that and say that he's actually in denial, but I think when you take him at face value, not only is his videos even more funny, but also interesting as again, he was someone who really did not fit into the public space of the early internet. In fact, he was the exact sort of person people were bound to make fun of, and while it was fun to do that, especially with how strange his wording and mannerisms could be, I also can't help but feel that people like him made the internet extra interesting, too. I guess truth be told, I can't help but feel a little bit sorry for him at the end of the day. But at the same time, he did continue to make videos and express his opinions, so it is more than fair game for others to react, mock, or critique said opinions all that they want as well. My long diatribe aside, this new remake of the video has some pretty significant changes. For one, the order of the characters is different, and the video is now called the top 10 prettiest Sonic females. And the list starts with Tikal this time.
Number 10 is Tikal the Echidna. She was named after an ancient Mayan city of the same name, and is the daughter of the Echidna tribe chief, Pakamak. While she does look gorgeous, the reason I put her at the bottom of the list is because she's one of those characters that doesn't do much in the action department. However, she becomes a hero by trapping herself in the Master Emerald so that the water god Chaos doesn't rain terror upon the land for hundreds of years. Don't you think that being the offspring of a person in the highest power would feel good? I sure do.
It's bizarre. It's like looking at an alternate universe version of a classic video. I mean, I guess it's not really like that, it just literally is that, but also no one knows about it. Yeah.
At number 8, it's Fiona Fox, an Archie Comics exclusive. She used to be a hero, but then switched sides simply because she prefers the darker side of life. Why? Well, during her childhood, Sonic freed Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo from a mining camp, but failed to rescue Fiona. As a result, the Vixen held a grudge against Sonic. The grudge went away when she became a freedom fighter, but it eventually came back when she started dating Sonic's evil self, Scourge. Heck, she even became the queen of Moebius, Mobius's evil self. While she looked pretty as a hero, she still looks alluring as a villain even with that 80s style punk outfit. A yellow bow and 3 big smooth arcs of hair sticking out in front of her face for the win.
And even still, the hair comments continue. Number 7 is also different.
Number SEVEN, Bunny Rabbit from the 1993 TV show Sonic Set AM and the Archie Comics series. She was just an ordinary resident of Mobius when she was captured and nearly roboticized by Dr. Robotnik. It's funny to see a character whose name is a pun on something, rabbit/robot. Another is Miles Per Hour, which is a pun on miles per hour. Being half animal, half robot gives this cutie a big battle advantage because the robotic limbs count as extra strength. And nobody can overlook the interesting pink outfit she wears and her wonderful southern accent.
Oh, Larry! I feel like I've been dragged through a knothole, so to speak.
Her appearance in the Archie Comics series always wins in my opinion. Not only was she given blonde hair in her later designs, but she also got a brown jacket and cowboy hat some years later. They remind me of Indiana Jones. However, I'll always like the pink outfit better. She just looks prettier that way.
really makes me consider that this whole video concept is like a balance between wanting to talk about character design, but also traits to stuff he finds attractive on females, like in general maybe? I don't think we gotta go through every single character over again since so much of it is the same at this point, but with a couple extra details. But again, you know, he loves the purple hair from Mina. In fact, he really highlights that part.
Man, if more female singers grew their hair long and sprayed it purple, I'd be attending concerts more often.
He also again notes Blaze's hairdo, but omits the Native American comment this time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen another hairstyle quite like Blaze's 45-degree ponytail on another cartoon character. It's very interesting because you normally don't see hair up in the air like that.
Again, commenting on Julie Sue's hair.
While Julie Sue's appearance is awesome, her appearance in the sub-series Mobius X Years Later takes the cake. I don't know about you, but I think that the combination of a long ponytail with cascading quills equals epic win in the fashion department.
Then comments about Sally Acorn being naked, kinda?
Unlike almost every other female in the franchise, Sally used to have an appearance that consisted of her only wearing boots. Yep, only fur everywhere else. Not that there's anything wrong with it, mind you, because she's not a human. Oh, if only more real women were as confident and skillful as Sally Alicia Acorn.
Before he then finally ends the video off with Rouge the Bat again, with some minor changes, but overall being similar points, though he doesn't do the zoom in on her boobs this time, instead he does it on her hand. Now, it's important to also note that at the time, one of the reasons Dylan Guptill would make this video remake and eventually just delete that one too, is because of YouTuber blackbustercritic, who is kind of someone who probably deserves their own video someday for just how much content they made during this era of YouTube. But for the sake of this video, let's just summarize him as a YouTuber who often talked about or criticized lolcows, specifically Sonic the Hedgehog related lolcows, or as he called them, Sonic, yeah, you can read it here. And he was one of the first and most well-known of his kind back in the day, and Dylan Guptill would first be noticed by the blackbustercritic in a commentary video he made on the top 10 hottest Sonic characters.
Definitely not the greatest, and definitely not the most attractive character ever thought of. And by attractive, I think he means like cool looking, at least for Sonic.
Might also be classified as Hot Chick Heaven.
What? Hot Chick Heaven? Sonic?
That it'll make you love the filter power.
Wait.
Why, it's Amy Rose, of
He does mean Amy! Oh my god!
The fact that she's still attractive.
He put Amy Rose, a furry pink hedgehog, in a top 10 hot list. See, he had us tricked. Had us tricked with that human female in the beginning. And does he realize Amy is 13 years old? So not only is he a Sonic, a fur, but he's a pedophile as well. Hey, this Cosmo chick, she's a plant person. You got a fur Sonic plant tag now. File. Because she's like 8 years old too.
I will showcase more, but a major sticking point in the video is that blackbustercritic noted that because several of the Sonic characters were underaged, or children, the Guptill was a or what's the modern censoring of the word? PDF file, which is what Dylan was referencing in his remake video. Blackbustercritic would then later feature Dylan Guptill in a double feature video, uploaded April 22nd of 2010, where he talked about Guptill and this other guy called Michael Dragon 800, and made the claim that they were both PDF files.
But you guys probably already seen the commentary I did on Guptill 89 Sonic video, the top 10 hottest female Sonic characters. But before I even tackle Michael Dragon 800, I want to finish off Guptill, or Guptears 89. Now, he made a small little comment response on my commentary of his video. And he says, let me pull this up. Okay, read along with me, guys. You have taken a silly little Valentine's Day commentary about a cartoon and turned it into a federal case accusing me of sexually aberrant behavior. This is nuts! You and rest of the crew should be ashamed of yourselves if someone else tries to make a funny comment about, say, Daffy Duck. Are you guys gonna flip out in the same manner? Grow up and think. Something like this isn't worth your time. Guptill, we're accusing you of sexual aberrant behavior? You did that yourself. You're the one that said, yeah, that bat, that chipmunk thing, that cat, and those echidnas are the top 10 hottest characters. Now, if you said the top 10 coolest characters, that wouldn't be a problem. But when you say hot, that means attractive. When you're talking about how a character's personality is and how, oh, her beautiful flowing hair, that's stuff that's appealing to your eye. That's stuff that attracts you. Especially in a mounting sexual way. So you accuse yourself, okay, of that behavior.
As we'll see a little bit later in the video, this had a knock-on effect of attracting a lot more people to Dylan Guptill, but with the specific purpose of making fun of him and noting how he was a PDF file. It's the origin point for where a lot of people back in the day were first introduced to Guptill, period. And it's here where, again, I feel I should note something. While yes, Dylan Guptill is a weird guy, maybe I could even argue, if I look at everything he has done in the least charitable light, that he's a furry with a hair fetish that's in constant denial and trying to police the internet because he is fighting against his inner demons, so to speak. However, even with that interpretation in mind, what I certainly cannot do is call him a PDF file. This commentary, while interesting and again funny for its time, highlights an issue I have with both old and new commentary type videos, and that's the ease by which people will call someone else a you-know-what with no evidence, nothing real to back it up, but still making that claim because the person is cringy, or they don't like them, or they're a little bit weird, and thus they just want to add in as many tag words as they possibly can. I personally find that to be extremely irresponsible, and muddies the water when there are so many real and sexual deviants trying to harm or groom children online. Can there still be warning signs? Yes. Have there been cases where there were people that were really into young characters and turned out to also be a PDF file? Yes, as well. But making a dumb video about finding Sonic characters attractive, and that seemingly being the only thing he's ever done of that nature, I would say it's not really fair to make that claim. Is the video weird? Silly? Cringe? Dumb? Funny? Yes. Maybe even creepy? Sure. Yeah. But pedophilic? Nah, man. Unless he was specifically highlighting the characters' ages and saying things about wanting to do perverted stuff with, say, Cream the Rabbit and shit. There is a way this video could have been made to have popped up those warning signs a lot more, but there's nothing even close to a comment like that in this video. If anything, I'd be more worried about the guy going around sniffing people's hair than I would him doing anything with children. Mind you, a lot of other commentary Blackbustercritic has to say about Guptill's videos are fair, and even funny in a few cases, but I did feel the need to point this out because beyond my own contentions with it, I think it was this accusation that he was a furry PDF file that caused Dylan Guptill to actually eventually stop making Sonic-related content, period, as it clearly got to him and he didn't want to have those sorts of accusations levied at him, which I think does speak to the fact that he was unfairly accused. And it's a shame because it also got him to stop making videos of that sort in general. Man, we could have gotten so many more weird, funny videos about Sonic and maybe even other video game series from Guptill, if only people hadn't been so intense with their accusations against him. Again, it's in everyone's right to criticize and mock and do what they want. but I do often find that this will be the death of what was a genuinely funny and interesting channel. It's why I personally say to always let these sorts of people cook, because I'd much rather have more content from them than to silence them when the stuff they do is pretty innocuous at the end of the day. Again, making video responses and criticizing their thoughts, fair. Making baseless claims though, I wouldn't say that's quite as fair. Of course, on the other hand, Dylan Guptill could be pretty contentious, and some could say that he was kind of asking for it when he was acting like he was better than other people for not using curse words in videos. But at the same time, I wish it would have stayed to criticizing his thoughts, rather than LARPing that because he made a cringy video, he was now a terrible person who does terrible things to children. But now you're probably wondering, well, that video and the whole fiasco happened in 2010. Did Dylan Guptill make anything else of note in that time since? Or even around that time? Well, a few things actually. At one point, he wanted to start a series called D3's Video Mania Tips, where he would give tips on games old and new, I guess akin to his Doom Nightmare Mode video he made.
You know, I've been thinking, instead of making rants and whatnot, why not make a series of videos providing tips on video games? This idea has been in my head for quite a while, and now that I have Final Cut Express and LiveType, I feel I have the right tools for the job. The series is called D3's Video Mania Tips, and it's going to focus on games released on today's console. Every so often I'm going to tackle an old school game that's on the PS3's PlayStation Store or the Nintendo Wii Shop channel, and sometimes ones that aren't. Just to keep thousands of game requests at bay, I'll list the systems I have. I have a Super Nintendo, an NES, a Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 3, GameCube, Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance, and a Game Boy Color. I don't have an Xbox or an Xbox 360, and I don't plan on getting either one. Another thing I want to point out is that the image on my cathode ray tube TV is starting to spread out a little on the edges, meaning that if there's a status object at the very top or bottom or to the very side, the object will be off screen a little bit. I use that TV for my older consoles. And one more thing. I will barely touch on regular 8-bit Nintendo games because Rob Bryant of PlayTheNES.com does a great job of covering them. I've also posted a link to his YouTube channel page in the video description below. I'm looking forward to getting started with this series, and I hope you'll enjoy it. It'll be coming very soon, so stay tuned. See you later. Take care.
However, this didn't seem to go anywhere. He also had several voice demos he made, because strangely, every Sonic/anime YouTuber at the time had a video of them doing voice impressions. I guess it was for possible acting roles, or fan dubs, or a bridge series, or just for fun.
All I care about in this park is the safety of the kids. Hello, it's me, Mario, hoo-hoo! Oh, nice computer you got here. Can I have it? All you people have a rotten day. Auga! Luigi, King Koopa has the princess locked up in his Coney Island disco palace. Now, I fought my way out, and I've been looking for you ever since. We gotta go back and rescue her.
Well, then we better go now before I get scared just thinking about it.
This is preposterous. Ah, you're killing me! Don't you understand I'm an innocent bystander? Come on! Ha! Huh!
This is Fox, returning to base. You're off your game, Fox.
The sky looks the same. So do the stars and the moon. I guess Chaos Control must have sent me here. I traveled through space, but did I travel through time too? Am I the only one here? Are all the others gone? Well, guess I'll find out soon enough.
Look, Vector, you may be the leader of the Chaotix, but your solutions are the strangest I've ever seen in my life.
Him doing the exact same lines Spax3 did in his fan dub of Sonic X was a low blow, but a well-earned one, I'd say. Honestly, no hate though. Dude's actually pretty talented at voices. Unironically, pretty good. Then we have this, video response he did where he does some parkour.
What is up, everybody? I have reached the point of boredom. I can't think of anything else to make for a video, so instead what I've decided to do is make a video response to the 10th episode of Ian is Bored, greatest parkour video ever, and I'm gonna see if I can try to do better than him. But anyway, let's get the show on the road.
Bro do be hoppin'. And he actually did a sequel to this one, where he exercises and, well...
Boredom has struck again. I am running low on video ideas once more, so, just like last year, I feel the need to make another Ian is Bored video response. This response is directed towards episode 13, Exercise Fail. Now, I don't consider most of what he did in that episode a fail because he actually did very well. Just like with the parkour response, this is an attempt to see if I can do better than him. So, let's get going.
Oh, lovely. I love this video. Please share if you take anything away from this video. I ask that you appreciate this work of cinematic art. However, back on the topic of more infamous type videos, there was a few other Guptill 89 rant-a-wreck videos, several which sadly don't exist online anymore, or only exist through unlisted video commentaries. However, I want to try and showcase them here, especially since I'm pretty sure most of you have never seen these, with the first one of them being his hatred for company and brand logos changing, and now he's just really, I don't know, grumpy about it.
Evolution. Noun. It's the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form, including productive advances in technology and innovation like cell phone devices, more cutting-edge vehicles, better cleaners, and so on. Product logos also evolve. Every so often, there's a change to the logo, and it's to get people to buy the item, to pay more attention. Lately, however, a small number of trademarks have been modified so drastically that it's become a bit of an inconvenience. Now, I understand full well that this is one of the many things in life that you're supposed to roll with and move on, but I just find that some of these insignias don't work well. Take Nike, for instance. With the previous designs, you could easily recognize what the brand name was. Today, the current seal is just the swoosh. People unfamiliar with the brand are not going to know it's Nike unless they do some research. The same can be mentioned for Gatorade. Currently, it's called G. You might be able to make out the tiny letters that spell Gatorade on the bottle, yet the fact that it's referred to as just G still stands. Furthermore, the commercial series titled What's G that premiered the name change didn't even display the beverage. At first, I thought it was a new shoe company, and I continued to think that until I saw the refreshment at my local supermarket. Luckily, when it comes to other corporations, there have been some exceptions. Take a gander at Pepsi. You can see a clear progression in the logo design, and the most modern version isn't completely unrelated to its predecessors. Another thing that's irritating is the method of remodeling buildings that serve the public when they don't appear to need it. The only time an establishment really needs to be revamped is if it is decaying or if it's been vandalized. For example, the Dunkin' Donuts in my town used to have this type of sign. It didn't look like it needed polishing or replacement. The building also had a tiled roof with a signboard on the side, similar to this one. The inner part was white, and it gave the indication of being inviting, all right. Now, the sign out front has been switched with a shinier one that has the current insignia, the roof is a beige solid roof, and the inside is yellow and orange. Re-roofing is practical, but why change the signpost and the interior? Why move the counter all the way over so it's next to the wall? That's just a waste of moolah. What's the point, anyway? To get with the times? Or, once again, maybe it's to catch a person's eye. In a nutshell, modifying emblems and redesigning buildings can be an important factor to society and commerce. Just please don't radically transform logos to the point of confusion.
I don't have anything to add to him talking about logo changes. I mean, it's something people complain about, usually with logos being extra simplified these days. But I'm gonna be real with you, I just don't care, like, at all. Still, it is interesting seeing him complain about logos changing and his random Dunkin' Donuts changing. It is like the most nothing stuff ever to complain about, but I guess that's what the series is about, so go off, King, I guess. The next one is titled, The World Wide Web is Paradise, ... Really? This one being the longest of his rants yet. So let's take a gander at it together, shall we?
Blockbuster, an organization once known for having nationwide rental stores, places where people could walk around and browse what kind of movies and games they had. It was something that was homey and friendly. Video arcades, places where citizens could waltz around and try out what game cabinets were available, and use a claw machine filled with toys. Paper letters, messages that were sent back and forth all the time between friends and family. And finally, film photography, a circumstance that involved taking pictures with a camera and then bringing the rolls of film to a photosmith to develop. These four things were really good to abide by. They involved a lot of traveling, but were simple nonetheless. Until all that changed. These four elements that used to be parts of life have been replaced almost entirely by these products. Items that access the information superhighway. I really don't want to sound preachy and make it sound like I am repeating what I already thought about the current World Wide Web, but when something you feel is important comes along, you need to speak. Here's the deal. The one major problem about the internet that I didn't think to mention before is that in most cases, it is killing physical socialization, something we humans were meant to do daily.
Now this is an interesting video. Again, I feel like Guptill really comes from a different time. He's not even technically wrong about the internet making people become more and more antisocial and distant from each other. It is the nature of things for the time to continue moving forward as far as technology and stuff goes. But while maybe many of the time would be quick to mock Guptill as an old soul hipster type who thinks he's above it all, he was actually onto something here. We just didn't know how right he was till more recent times, I suppose. And overall, the message of this video, beyond all the other pretentious shit, is that Dylan Guptill says that the internet is not something people should rely on for everything, that there are other ways of doing it as well, and that if people continue to rely on it, they will be isolated. Which is true. However, sadly, while this message is there, it is presented in one of the most unappealing ways imaginable, with him kind of chastising the viewer and acting more like an old person that just doesn't quite understand the technology, rather than where he probably should have came from, a person who does use the technology but doesn't let it run his life. The video is basically, in essence, go touch grass, but Dylan Guptill, and this is a problem with all of his videos, presents it in such a pretentious, unpalatable fashion that even when he is on to something, it feels lost in the weeds of all of the other stupid little points and dressings of the argument. I guess what I'm trying to say is, Dylan Guptill was on to something here, he just couldn't quite grasp it fully and present it in a way that made people actually understand where he might have been coming from. Instead, he acts as though you shouldn't use this technology nearly at all, despite him actively using a computer and uploading videos to YouTube for all the world to see. Makes it all ring a bit hollow, you know?
With Blockbuster LLC closing every single rental store and moving everything they do to cyberspace, online gaming causing so many video arcades to go out of business, and so on, it seems to me that laziness has reached a whole new level. The way I see it, it seems to me that hundreds of people have forgotten the one simple fact that any piece of technology has the potential to stop working. And once it stops working, you either spend lots more money to buy the same electronic object, or you play it smart and you save a lot of dough by not purchasing the same item. And power outages also play a part in electronics failures. Why am I pointing out the obvious? Well, to quote Undertaker Freak 1127, technology is not infallible. It's never perfect, it never lasts forever. See, if you take the time to think about it, do you really need such high-tech stuff that in the old days only the military used? No, you don't. Heck, I used to use a regular mobile phone. Barely, but I've gotten to the point where I don't need to use one anymore because, first of all, there's plenty of payphones around the parts where I live, and secondly, I don't have to worry about people constantly calling me and sending me text messages because every time you receive or make a call, you end up spending more money than you need to. And before you jump to conclusions telling me that this problem can be remedied by switching off your cell phone, picture this. Imagine if your companions were having a party, getting loaded, something awful happens to a friend, and another friend tries to inform you about the situation. If your cell phone is off, either they're asked to leave a message, or the dial tone keeps going on for infinity until they hang up. They'd be pretty unhappy, don't you think? The only people I can think of who would need something as expensive as an iPhone are important people, like a leader of a country or a fireman or policeman.
I also like how he feels like the only people that would need this technology, like an iPhone, are the government or quote-unquote important people. Again, sometimes it feels like Guptill is an old man screaming at these darn kids, but he's like all their age or slightly older. It's weird.
The information superhighway can suddenly go down out of the blue, and it can take days or even weeks to be restored. If you've seen my second technology rant, it's especially bad if hackers are involved. There's even people whose internet goes down all the time. And sure, the plan for a cyberspace blackout on March 31st was denied, yet there will always be a chance of a blackout because once again, technology isn't perfect. In short, iPhones, online gaming, what have you, with the exception of computer, are just very expensive toys. These are the things the companies and you think you need. And let me remind the viewers that I am talking to regular people. You know what's more important than your expensive smartphones, being glued to your seat playing a web-enabled game, and so on? Outside and inside exercise, playing an instrument, spending time with a close friend, and of course, book reading. But even book reading is getting a little ruined too with a device called the iPad, a device that requires a battery to run, and you can use it to go online and download a book. I don't see such a big deal about heading to your local library or Barnes & Noble and picking out a physical book that requires no electricity and can last for eternity.
Now this is interesting, and such a relic of the past. Back before streaming services and the like were the standards, and there was this awkward phase of the old tech slowly dying out and this new stuff slowly taking over. Again, Dylan Guptill is fair in that, yeah, you shouldn't spend all your time online. You should go outside, you should do other things, learn some skills, make stuff, you know? But there's no reason you can't do both. I mean, people reading books on their iPad are still reading books, aren't they? Guptill seems to feel like it's one way or the other, when really the best and most based option is to have a balance of everything. But Guptill, at least back when he made this video in 2012, didn't quite seem to think so.
All I'm saying is, there's more to life than all these nifty devices. I may use a computer that has internet, but I used it in the way that it was meant to be used. For work, certain research, or for finding something that I can't find elsewhere in the real world, and for broadcasting this message. You don't need to be tethered to the internet. Expand your horizons. Like I urged earlier, go for a walk, play an instrument, read a book, go on a date with someone you like, or manually shop for something that doesn't need to be ordered online, if it's possible in your area. That is all. Thank you for watching.
Also, that Rantorek he referenced at least once in this video, technology schmeckmology, is also around on YouTube, though strangely enough, it has only been documented via a completely different Sonic and general related lolcow, Blaze, doing a commentary on it. I won't go over it all here because I think you more than get the idea about how Guptill feels about modern technology, but I will show a clip or two that's kind of interesting from both that video and that guy's commentary because it's just such a interesting vibe, the whole thing put together.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Blaze, the movie film with you yet again, and it's time for another commentary video. This time I'm going to do another commentary on Guptill 89. For those of you who don't know who Guptill 89 is, well, let me explain. He's basically a guy who is infamous for making terrible rants and that prettiest looking Sonic female characters list. Yeah, he is pretty infamous on YouTube, not as infamous as the Irate Gamer, but there are a lot of commentaries done on him.
As a follow-up to Rantorek Episode 3, I've discovered more things that are wrong with the machines and devices today.
Really? Let's hear what you have to say.
Since I already talked about the compatibility issues on computers and the pixel resolution of regular channels and the dumb button layout on HD TVs.
How exactly are those buttons stupid? Please, alright, he explained it in another video. Never mind.
Time to move on to other issues. Now, what other thing could possibly have flaws? Well, you'll probably jump when you hear this. Cars! What on earth is wrong with cars today, I hear you claim?
Well, there is one problem that I have with cars. They are way too expensive. I mean, you have to pay for gas money.
Well, calm yourself and allow me to explain. For the most part, the ways cars perform today are great. Yet, when it comes to certain parts, there are three minor things that don't seem right. Digital screens for certain elements like the speedometer, temperature gauge and fuel gauge, electric window openers, and remotes that make the car honk.
Wait! How exactly are those bad things?
First, let's discuss the electric window openers. The car has to be turned on in order for the openers to be operated, obviously. So if it starts to rain or snow and your windows are open, you have to get your keys, turn on the automobile, operate the buttons, and finally turn off the vehicle.
Alright, Guptill, let me ask you this. Who the fuck would leave his car with his windows open? I'm sorry, that's just very stupid, man. It's common sense to leave the car with their windows closed.
But what if you misplace your keys as well as a spare key? Say hello to a huge pile of cabin snow or big puddles on the seats. if the car isn't in a garage.
I'm sorry to say this, but you would be stupid by not closing your car windows and doors when you leave it.
While misplacing your car keys is very rare, it still happens. Do you remember window crankers? They were better since you didn't have to go to all that trouble.
What the hell are you talking about? Those things were slow as hell!
Besides this, I did note that there was several commentary videos and people that responded to Guptill's work, and, well, I'll just show a clip from a select few ones I found.
Okay, at least I got a little bit of a lengthy target, but next time in the future too funny... Yeah, this guy? He is serious. You want me to do a commentary on this guy? Well... thank goodness it's not his top 10 list.
Hey guys, I'm back here, and today I'm going to do another commentary on a guy named Guptill89. Guptill89 is famous over YouTube for making a video called Top 10 Hottest Sonic Female Characters, which in most people's eyes made him look like a furry and a pedophile. And I'm not going to do a commentary on that video, because one, I think he removed it, and 2, he made a top 10 hottest, I mean not hottest, but prettiest Sonic female characters, which wasn't that different at all. Just changed the title.
And that's people trying to talk sense to me. As in reviews by people who played the game for like 5 minutes and say it's crap? Nah, that makes too much sense for you.
Doing a commentary on you on my old channel, but now it's time for a punching bag video on you on this channel. Alright, let's get on with it. But first, let me tell you a little something about this video.
Hello everyone, this is the Professor. Good to see you. Now, we all know Guptill89 made a video the other day. I'm not going to do a commentary on it. Done enough of those in the past and already know enough commentators are going to cover this. That I don't want to do the same thing as everyone else. I just want to get my points out in a short, unscripted rant. Well, as short as I can make it, well, with me having a time limit on my YouTube channel now, because of 2 false flaggings against me. But I'm going to go over some of his major points, his biggest points that he tried to make in there, what I thought were the main items behind him putting his thesis to his rant together.
Why did I feel the need to show you those clips? No reason. Just that a lot of these commentary channels back in the day were pretty different, usually consisting of some guy with a really bad microphone commentating over the video in clips, usually also consisting of pictures from some cartoon character that I suppose is supposed to represent them. And while they were certainly a product of their time, and for that reason I find them to be quite charming, I also find it ironic that many of these videos can often be just as cringy as the videos they are commenting on, in their own unique way. If someone made a stinker on YouTube back in the day, you were guaranteed to get a few pretty funny videos commenting about it, well, some parodies, as well as some pretty bad YouTube videos that are funny in their own unique way. The gift truly never stopped giving. Also, this dude called Softcore Seizure made a cartoon of Guptill once again mocking him.
Salutations, my internet compadres. Today I'd like to discuss bra straps and why they bother me so much. When I'm trying on mother's underwear, these pesky little things tend to get in the way of my experience. Are you people serious?
Now, when going down this rabbit hole of commentary YouTubers who mocked or critiqued Guptill, someone I came across was Youngblood Fantasy 91, who originally made a video about Guptill's rant about logo changes, and basically said that Guptill is being nitpicky over dumb stuff, and that he doesn't understand how the economy works. This would then lead into Guptill actually responding in full to that video, something which again is lost to time outside of other people's commentary on it. including Youngblood Fantasy 91's own response to the video in a full-on two-parter commentary. However, for the sake of understanding this all a bit better, I'll simply be showcasing mostly Guptill's response. And right from the get-go, Guptill also brings up blackbustercritic's thoughts and accusations of him being a PDF file, and, well, all of this was just kind of the big finale, I'd say, as far as the top 10 hottest Sonic characters, his rant series, and just overall everything that has been building up till this point. This all led to this moment. So let's hear Guptill defend himself in full.
What do you know? I have encountered someone who is actually worth my time. Youngblood Fantasy 91. Recently, he constructed a commentary on Ranterek Shorts number 4, The Unimportance of Change. It was detailed, he was soft-spoken, and he had some interesting points to bring up. Now, many of them I disagree with, and that is why I was determined to make this response to him. Now, instead of doing a commentary on a commentary, what I'll do instead is list the most important arguments and give my thoughts about them. Without any further ado, let's dive in. Argument number 1.
He is considered to be the archetype.
Okay, people, here's what you need to have hammered into your brains. If you describe someone as pretty and sometimes hot, it does mean attractive, but not in a mounting sexual way. Sorry, Jamin, but your argument falls flat on its face. And to add to that, by your own logic, it seems to me that if anybody describes anything as hot, including a stylish backpack or a pen, people are going to cast horrified looks on them and think, "Dear God, he wants to do that backpack! Somebody call security!" Besides, as long as the anthropomorphic character looks humanoid and is fictional, why does it matter? Quit acting like they're real. Argument dos.
Thank you for describing the nature of our working capitalist society. I see the point of your video slowly flying away into the distance as you continue your sad nitpicking on this trivial topic.
Youngblood, there is a difference between nitpicking and majorly criticizing something. Throughout the whole presentation, I have been criticizing major stuff. Nitpicking, on the other hand, is arguing about a change that is so tiny, it wouldn't make any sense to criticize it. Take, for example, the new Nintendo seal. It still has the same font and oval, but it's white. It used to be red and nothing else. If someone complained about that, that would be the proper definition of nitpicking. A major revision would be taking the words orange juice, changing them to OJ, and removing the picture of the orange or oranges. Argument 3.
Even if a logo does change, you can still locate the product label on the box or on the cover anyways. That's what product labels are for. Quick identification of the product so that you can buy it. If you can read the product label, you're fine. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Here's what you don't understand. If you take the design of a product and then warp it around, you're not going to identify it as quickly as you could before. Argument 4.
The two pictures you showed me of the Mountain Dew logo demonstrated minimal modification of the logo itself. So the word mountain was shortened to the abbreviation MTN. It's a common abbreviation. And who cares if the word dew is more slanted to the right? It's still red, the background is still green, and the general design is similar. I would complain if there was a complete overhaul of the logo, not minor changes that spur you into an OCD fit.
This is the only argument that I agree with.
Now, what I really love about all this, what I really love about this whole fiasco, is this is about brand logos. Again, the most nothing stuff to complain about ever. Oh my gosh, guys. PayPal changed their logo to like a slightly different logo. Oh, I gotta make a Reddit post about this. But because everyone wanted to jump down Guptill's throat, he somehow pulled them into talking about this dumb topic and over-intellectualizing over the entire thing. And then when he responded, everyone else had to respond in kind as well. Especially since he was attacking who was one of the more popular commentary channels at the time. Now, I'll be honest, as far as the timeline of events go here, I'm not sure where this video fits in. But it does really seem to fit in nicely after this response and the wave of commentary YouTubers who responded to it in kind. Since he chose to respond to the criticism, it was like open season for all these other people to jump in and give their 2 cents, with many pointing out again some fair points about his video, and others are just being more nitpicky themselves. Again, the whole affair is about logos, man. But nonetheless, Guptill would eventually make this video responding to all the people commenting on him. Note that by this point, he had all but turned off comments on nearly all his videos, which I think actually had the ironic effect of more people wanting to make video responses since he couldn't stop them from doing that. So this was the video where he finally snapped. He had enough. Do note that this is again archived via a commentary video, so there'll be some commentary text that shows up once or twice in the video.
All the complaints I've received about my videos have annoyed me at first, and now I've decided to say something about it. I have tried to please the public, but realized the error of my ways. Perhaps it's time you realize the error of your ways. I don't need to grow up, you do. I don't understand why most people enjoy the company of idiots. Probably the biggest reason is they adore disrespect with a passion.
No, it's because they like to know that there are people who aren't as intelligent as they are. You see, people love to know that they're the best because it makes them feel better about themselves.
Well, you know what? You are a bunch of imbeciles for having that trait. You are the people who give the human race a bad name. Now, considering all the crap I've received... Why the hell have I been acting so calm? You know, it's about time I let it all out. Screw you all. As far as I'm concerned, you can burn in hell. I am the one with iron guts and ideas, and you can't stop me, halfwits.
Kyle Guptill.
Do you really think that I care about all of the moronic comments that I've received on my presentations telling me what a bum I am? The real failure is you. Don't pretend that you're superior. That's all I have to say. It's enough, I think. Schmucks.
And then he ends with an April Fool's comment. Yeah, you see, it was an April Fool's joke because you thought he was actually angry, but he's actually, like, totally calm. And yeah, I'm sure April Fool's Day, joke or not, Dylan Guptill clearly had a ton of hate coming his way, and it was all becoming far too much. He tried to pretend he was above it all. He tried making videos critiquing others. He tried fixing his old cringy videos. He tried to respond to the criticism in a collected manner. And he tried outright insulting them, even if he said it was a joke, because I'm pretty sure to Dylan Guptill, to insult them, to use curse words, to fall to his haters' level, would be to lose and to let them win. Yet still, what was he to do at this point? Well, this is where we finally hit a bit of a wall with the history of Dylan, because there exists some info that I had a hard time confirming. See, according to Dylan Guptill's Wikipedia page, the following is noted. Quote, Guptill later met with commentator Savage Broadcast. During this meeting, Savage Broadcast questioned him on his controversial beliefs and videos. Guptill ended up quitting halfway through the video. It was this event that led him to decrease his content and the avoidance of anything to do with Sonic, unquote. Now mind you, Wikipedia is by no means a super reliable source. Hell, I have a page on there and it gets several pieces of information wrong. However, this was such a specific detail that I had to go looking for this supposed video, but sadly came up short. The closest thing I could find on this hunt was two things. One, Savage Broadcast YouTube channel that has long over been abandoned, like 7 years ago, but at the same time only seems to have movie reviews and no commentary to speak of on internet people. And yet, I do know that this is the guy we're looking for, because on a video called Guptill 89 episode 5, The Internet Strikes Back Part 1, YouTuber iSoldier74 collaborated on a commentary with Savage Broadcast, and you can find him in the video's comment section. Yet, no such video of him talking with Guptill can be found anywhere. My best guess is that this video was privated, or maybe even taken down via a copyright claim or something dumb like that by Guptill. But I really can't confirm this. I have no idea who wrote this information either on this Wikitubia page. Whether they were witness to this video or if they just made this stuff up. But the fact that there are accounts and really old videos that nearly no one has watched connected to this information makes me think that it's real and simply lost media now. But I guess until someone comes forward with either the video or more information about this, we can't really know for sure. Feel free to comment down below or DM me on Twitter or something if you happen to know anything. Still, regardless if this happened or not, the truth does remain the same in result. Guptill privated most of his videos relating to rants, responses to commentary videos, etc., and seemed to not use YouTube nearly as much after a certain point. Be it because he was more busy now, or because he had had enough of all the hate he was getting, or if it was indeed something to do with this savage broadcast interaction, or maybe a combination of all these things. I guess I can, if nothing else, commend Guptill for at least living by his words of wisdom and going and doing something else other than spending all his time on the internet fighting a battle he was clearly always going to lose. Still, he does do videos these days once in a while. Hell, he did a video literally 2 months ago at the time of this recording. Reviews and critiques of games seem to be what he does nowadays. Ironically, after everything, he went back to where it all started, reviewing video games, which I often never see people bring up or talk about when they discuss Dylan Guptill. Of course, it then begs the question, how are his more recent videos? Are they good? Bad? Is he still the same guy he was all those years ago, or has he changed a bit? Well,
before it came to be one of the most hated game corporations, Capcom was loved by fans. They were responsible for such franchises as Mega Man, Street Fighter, and Phoenix Wright. In 1989, they released Sweet Home, a Famicom game based on the horror movie of the same name. The plot involves a filmmaking crew exploring an abandoned mansion filled with hostile supernatural entities. A few years later, producer Tokuro Fujiwara planned to remake that game for newer systems, but Sweet Home was never redone. However, there were plans for a new game. Biohazard debuted March 22, 1996. Outside Japan, the title was changed to Resident Evil. The game's success led to 2 sequels and 2 spin-offs named Code Veronica and Survivor. Capcom remade Resident Evil 1 in 2002 exclusively for the Nintendo GameCube, and it's considered one of the best remakes of all time, so much so that it was remastered for later systems.
honestly, they're pretty good videos. Dylan has a kind of old GameSpot or IGN video game review quality to his voice commentary style. But overall, these are pretty decent videos. Not the most amazing stuff I've ever seen as far as game reviews go, but certainly quite decent overall. He often seems to come from the perspective of, should you go and play this game, rather than his just honest opinion about it regardless of if he thinks you should buy it or not. And funnily enough, in his Resident Evil Remake video, we actually get a look at him and how he looks in more recent times, with what appears to be the same old background from the older videos there again. That bluish green wall with the floral patterns on them. It's kind of almost surreal seeing them in such high quality.
Now, I wasn't sure where to put this info, but one other thing I did find in my research into Guptill is his old website, which is appropriately, very old looking. There isn't much in the way of new things to discuss here. There's an area where there's a bunch of his videos that can be found, just kind of stuff we've already gone over. An area dedicated to pictures of cars and himself and other such stuff, I suppose. And perhaps most interestingly, a gallery of all his art, his drawings up until that point, which is very cool to see. I don't really have much to add to this, mind you, but I figured it was worth noting and showcasing to you all the same, for some more obscure Guptill lore. But with that being said, that's pretty much it as far as content and story goes with Dylan Guptill. He's a man who had strong beliefs and messages that he wished to impart online for all to see. Messages that were either ignored, mocked, or criticized with heavy scrutiny. He was a guy with a lot of hot takes and wasn't afraid to express them. He is also a guy who has made several very embarrassing videos, all being Sonic related for the most part. That damn blue rat is the downfall of many a young man, I tell ya what. But above all else, Dylan Guptill's Fables shows us what someone who stands against the current culture is often met with. Backlash. Sometimes for good reasons, other times maybe not. He's also someone who is often defined by a few embarrassing videos he made nearly 15 years ago. His legacy to be one of those internet laughingstocks, a legend that's easy to include in videos about the cringe's Sonic lolcows, or to react to on a live stream. In that sense, I guess he continues to entertain people, even if not in the way he might have intended. Still, I have to imagine with how he has pretty much deleted most videos connected with such things on his actual channel, despite the fact that he could be getting tons and tons of views from them, makes me think that he obviously wishes he had never made those videos to begin with. Yet, he also smartly seemed to know when to back off and take time for himself away from all the drama that was stirring around him back in the late 2000s and early 2010s. And that is a feat that many are never able to actually pull off. As easy as it sounds, so many, when faced with the entire ire of so much of the internet, will feel the need to continue to defend themselves. And while sometimes I think that was justified, again, whenever they were claiming he was a PDF file, I can understand why he wanted to fight back against those claims. But at some point he must have realized it was all for a fruitless effort. Nowadays, if such a creator were around making videos and someone made the claim that they were a PDF file without evidence, ironically enough, this would have been seen as an attempt at canceling the person, and unjustly so, and the person making the claim more than likely would have pulled the ire of the internet instead. But Dylan Guptill unfortunately made videos during a time when people were much more loosey-goosey with these types of things. But I suppose at the same time, it also meant that the overall impact of people claiming he was this thing was also far less than it would be now. But still, I do think it's something worth noting. Dylan Guptill was unfairly accused of some awful things, and yet he kept his cool throughout most of it, and left when it was clear it was all going nowhere. Of course, Guptill is someone who is easy to laugh at, and yes, some of his takes about vulgarity on the internet, and little nitpicky things like people not writing words correctly or logo changes, it all just kind of seems like nothing burgers at the end of the day. But I do actually find him pretty interesting and funny for that very reason. I may not always agree with him, but I think it's a real shame he left and deleted so much of his content. I don't know what Dylan Guptill is doing these days outside of the occasional YouTube video. As far as I could tell, all his social media presence is pretty much just that. He occasionally uploads on that channel and doesn't really do much else. At least not publicly. But I hope whatever he's actually doing IRL, that it's going well for him. Let's hope bro's drinking a nice tall glass of orange juice and hitting the dance floor as Knuckles away from the public eye of the internet. Because at the end of the day, like him or hate him, mock him or appreciate him, little Poindexter or no, Dylan Guptill's only true crime was being his authentic self. And that was it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know for a solid year or so, I've been mostly doing internet fables about the channel awesome people, and I will continue to do so. Again, that Linkar video is still coming up, don't worry, but I also want to make a few standalone internet fable episodes like these along the way of making that bigger retrospective. So expect more of them. You'll never know what's gonna come out next from this channel. I was very eager to make this video about Guptill for a bit, since I often have seen people talk about him, but never in full detail or showcasing his other stuff outside of his most popular videos. So I hope you'll learn something about him from this whole thing, and maybe something about old internet culture as well. Also, if you got to the end of the video, thank you so very much. And be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, as it really helps my channel out a bunch. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of my loyal patrons and channel members, including all of my night eggs and my night owlets, as well as a very special thank you to all of my great night owls, including Bandan, Sketch Lombo, Somber Devonte 06, Jeffrey Robbery, Hexmaniac Hannah, and Ho Hot, as well as a super duper special thank you to all of my arch owls, including the chaotic cartoonist Cherry and GT, the wise Nicodemus, the always Chi Vibes Zen Garden Party, the amazing Ali Elman, the daring Daniel Petrie, the Super Saiyan Star Punch Gaming, the fearless Forgotten Ace, and the Super Sonic Sword. Thank you all so very much for your continued support, and look forward to the exclusive videos that you guys will be getting very soon. But until next time, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.